to the 40k Fireside podcast, where we discuss everything to do with competitive Warhammer 40k with your hosts Vik VJ and David Gaylord.
Alrighty, here we go. Surprise! Two people. Got Lewis here. Lewis, my good friend, and lives down the street from me and smashed me at LGT.
You're so welcome.
My resident Tau expert. Best player in the UK for Tau, I think.
Debatable. Debatable.
I think it's...
Depends who you ask.
Depends who you ask. Like everything in life.
Yes.
Depends who you ask.
60% of the time, all the time.
yeah, exactly. Right, so we're going to have a chat through the Tau detachment, the Grotmus reveals. But before we do that, Lewis, is there any detachments that really stood out for you? Any that you liked so far?
Ooh. Well, I think the Custodians is the spiciest one for me.
Really?
I think that one's because I think it has made probably the highest number of data sheets in a book playable.
Yeah, almost everything, right?
Which is quite interesting. Yeah, you could run pretty much anything in that book.
Stuff that was previously utterly garbage, right? When was the last time you saw a Custodians drawn on the table?
and actually, it was only today I was thinking about what I was going to play in the next league game for Team England, and I saw the Grey Knights one. The Grey Knights one.
Oh yeah,
I think that one's really, really strong. Like you could, having like 4 rolls to hit on like 3 Dread Knights. You could take. What's the indirecting Grey Knight units?
Yeah, the Purifiers.
And you give them all. You can take 3 units of 5, and each of them can have like 24 indirect shots.
Yeah, it's a lot of chat shooting.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of the 30 Swooping Hawks.
Yeah, a lot of people have been pretty high up on that as a detachment one. I think Grey Knights has been one of the ones that have been the most like big swing up, I would say, because I think Grey Knights were in a pretty bad spot before the balanced data slate, right?
I think it lacked innovation. I think in some ways I thought it was a bit of a sleeper in some ways because people were like, oh, you're losing a lot of strength of the previous one, but it's trying to do something very different.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you get a lot of stratagems that don't rely on your opponent running into them face first to be good, right? Like mists, sigil, and stuff like that. Like your opponent can really play around them, and that was a big reason to play the detachment. Obviously, like 3-inch deep strike now went to 6, right? AOC got nerfed, or a lot of that got nerfed. Anyway,
it's actually going to be probably more fun to play against as well for that reason as well. Yeah, because no one wants to play against Mr. Demos, but
but at the same time, it's like if you spend 5 minutes working out Mr. Demos, then it does nothing. And or exactly. The CP can get taxed. Like you do want to use that, then you can't armor content and stuff. So Grey Knight's a big one.
Yeah,
but
I think that's good.
Golden Boys. Going to become a golden.
I think
gold or silver for you?
Mine are actually black and red.
Black and red.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're quite interesting.
Oh right, your
they're all black armor with gold and then red robes. I mean,
that's cool.
I think actually 3 out of 4 of my armies are completely red anyway. My Tower red.
Sure. Yeah.
My Thousand Sons are red.
Yep.
My Custodians are half red.
Cool.
My Blood Angels are red.
Yeah.
As a theme here.
Yeah.
Demons also look good.
Demons are pretty cool. I actually lost against Brian last night playing Zinch Demons. I was playing guard. To be honest with you, I didn't have a fucking clue what his army did.
Did you clock out when he just gave you all of these dice?
Dude, the flux dice mechanic is quite frustrating. Do you know that you can use as many flux dice on a single attack phase? So if you've got 5 flux dice, you're like, oh, I failed all these saves. 5 flux dice, and it's like, oh, I made 70% of my 4. Oh, great! I'm playing all these models that have 4 open saves. Can be a little bit annoying. I came to the resolution that it's just better never to use your flux dice if you're playing against that army, because their army relies a lot on using flux dice defensively. So they're trying to use them defensively the whole time, and if you use them offensively, they have a 4 open button. So a lot of the time, it's like they get a larger payoff for using this.
Yeah, it's better for them.
Yeah, it's like in Magic, like anything symmetrical is never really purely symmetrical. It's like one person's trying to use them better, right? Yeah. I have this bonkers enhancement too. Like they have an enhancement that lets you shoot from a model within 9 inches of the Lord of Change. So you can have 3 flamers strung out, and it can be within 9 of the Lord of Change. Then you can draw line of sight from the model that's the first model in that unit. You draw line of sight and ranges from that, and it doesn't count as indirect.
No, it's true line of sight, and that can be. So it's like having you got one chicken who's shooting from a hidden position.
Yes,
with true line of sight,
and then you have Kairos as well.
Yeah, from the cheapest unit in your army.
Yeah,
and then you got Kairos as well.
I mean that army's really good against shooting armies.
That's quite cool,
but it's very, very, very poor against melee armies.
Yeah.
Like if you just have a straight up and down melee army, you got to be like, okay, you can shoot me for a turn, and then just charge your whole army into them. Be like, okay, get out of here.
Do you think it still plays Bellicor then?
Brian wasn't playing Bellicor. Yeah, he was just playing like the Soul Grinder is maybe not bad in there because you can grind people's souls when you move through walls and stuff like that. I don't know if it's good, but they've got a Demon Prince there that gives you everything within 6 stealth and 4 up feeling no pain against mortals.
And you
which
give
is
you give it a relic that has extra strength and attack.
Yeah, something like that. He played that on the big chicken, I think. But you could do that, and that makes him even tankier against shooting. And you can't like grenade them down and tank shock them down, with like what you would normally do. So yeah, it's interesting. A lot of new stuff. Cool. So let's jump into it anyway. Mr. Tao. Here we go. Auxiliary cadre. What is this doing? So I guess before we start on this, after the balanced data slate, like what were you thinking about Tao? Like, were you thinking that they're a like if you took them to a tournament like a big UKTC event, do you think you can go 5-0 with them, or like 4-1's more realistic? Like,
so I think where the game stood 3 months ago, or even like 3 weeks ago,
sure,
which is basically pre-slate,
yeah,
we would have been in the same boat where we would have said there's kind of two fundamental ways to play the army. It's carry on and retaliation cadre.
Sure, yeah.
And just like when it's exactly the same as like Twilight with Team Carry On. Or no, Vampire's the best. So like I don't think either of us could be really convinced that retaliation is that good.
No,
and
I wasn't convinced. Sure.
I wasn't impressed. Like I've lost to it. I've also beaten it.
Sure. Yeah.
And like, but it's the kind of army where I felt like half of your list is dysfunctional into any given matchup.
Yeah.
Because you never want to have like that amount of anti-infantry against a tank army.
There's no suit that profile that's good into everything, right?
No, you don't have cyclics.
Yeah, and there's like no old plasma where it's like it doesn't really matter what you shoot, it's good.
Exactly, unless you could have 54 cyclic iron blasters like Binning Index. It's not that great. So, and that got even worse with the data slate because for some reason they didn't change the detachment rule, which requires you to deep strike within 6 to get a rule. Now it's impossible to trigger it from deep strike, even with the stratagem. They have a 2 CP stratagem, which went from 3-inch deep strike to 6-inch deep strike.
Sick.
So they've lost it.
Value.
I think what we're going to find out in a moment is actually this detachment might be even better for Crisis than retaliation itself, which is utterly bizarre.
Yeah.
So that I think that detachment is just straight up dead.
Sure.
Because
so no longer in contention.
Basically. I don't think it is in contention.
Yeah.
I think Carry On is exactly the same. I think there was only one nerf in the entire Tau. Points wise, which was very, very targeted, particular data sheet. Do you remember?
Oh,
what the data sheet is?
The flying shark thing.
Yeah,
50 points.
Yeah, 50 points.
Bam.
So it's like 20 points.
Riptides went up 10 points the previous balance data
exactly.
as well, right? Which I think was kind of fair. Like they're a pretty good data sheet.
10 points on it, absolutely fine. Yeah. So what it meant was that like pre LGT, like the list which I took against you, like that went up 30 to 40, probably about 40 points, let's say, because the piranhas went up as well in that time.
Yeah.
They kind of like at that point they increased cost of single models.
But between the two down balance data sleeves,
my list has gone up over 100.
Oh yeah,
over 100.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So it meant that my list overall has lost 2 units, and then with the excess points, taken something which is a slightly suboptimal.
Yeah, my list went up 190 points. It's okay.
So yeah, it's all right. It's fine. I should have done better at LGT. I think that's the answer. But it means that like I could actually play the list in the exactly same playstyle currently.
Yeah, still functions.
I'm just down 1 resource. Yeah, it's not a big deal. I just have to play slightly tighter.
Yeah, and you still get the core. You don't lose any of the core elements.
No, exactly.
Like, and
I still get all the toys.
No rule changes directly impacted Carry On as well, right?
No,
like there's sure there's meta shifts. There's always meta shifts around the army, but like you didn't suddenly lose like orders on this, or you know, a 3-inch deep strike now is a 6, which completely changes things.
So like in between those times, I tried running 12-inch deep strike deny character Dark Strider.
Yeah.
It seems less important now.
Yeah.
So like, so what? I've lost that. If anything, like because people say it's a nerf to Armor of Contempt. It doesn't really affect my list because I'm big activations.
Yeah,
and my army is like AP3, AP2 ignore cover. So like that doesn't really change anything. So
it makes it easy again through a land raider or something if you see, right?
Exactly.
But like
exactly. You know. But in the end, it means that like I still feel like Carry On is like the most stable way to play the army.
Yep.
But it's probably the most boring way to play it.
Yeah.
Especially if you played it.
What about the Crude Hunting Pack or whatever it is?
So I haven't explored it very much.
Sure. Yeah.
I think as a detachment, I'm struggling to think of how it has actually been affected by this slate.
I would say it's probably relatively gained, right? I don't think much has changed of it at all. Like, I don't think any of those data sheets have gone up. Armor of Contempt nerf is probably good for them. The meta has gone like more vehicle orientated, so like high cheap OC lists, so like maybe a little bit better, maybe.
Yeah, so gumming up the board.
Yeah, I think that's kind of its playstyle to a large degree, right?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Probably rose up a little bit, but
but it was all. I think it was always a combined arms list.
Sure.
Like your meat of the list is of course the crew, but like there's a support of the back. with this like stationary guns,
Yeah,
kind of like your
yeah.
hammerheads, your sky rays and things like that.
Yep.
So not dissimilar to a guard army in that sense.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So
Yeah.
Carrion's still number one.
So I would still go Carrion if I was to rock up at a tournament, and I've done it since then. You go to an event, you can win all your games,
Sure.
and you'll do absolutely fine with it. I think, but there's definitely like aspects of the army which I feel a bit hamstringed by, which is probably why I'm so attracted to like a Tiger Shark or say a Titanic model. Is that staging is always going to be an issue for Tau because
Yep.
you don't have the ability to. You're not going to push forward.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that, then you're probably going to ingress something on their turn to try and clear a ruin.
Yep.
And shoot on the
Like,
other side.
It doesn't really have the ability to like if your opponent goes first and stages into a ruin.
Exactly.
Just like move there
You're in
with one
trouble.
unit and actually like deal serious damage to it.
You're
like
in
sometimes they're just like in cover and the armor of contempt, and you're like, well, I killed 2 guys, and you're like, great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can get a bit stuck there.
Yeah.
And you probably have the same problem with guard at times. Like
Yeah, it's
without a
just
melee
very
threat,
similar,
like
without any
you
melee
can get
action.
boxed in.
Yeah.
So that is the trouble.
Okay, so it's got its strengths and weaknesses.
So yeah, I think that's its weakness probably is the melee pressureless. I don't think that's still something which needs to be solved. I think it's still very good into gun lines though.
Yeah, sure. There seems to be like quite all the shooting lists like that at the moment, apart from like maybe Star Shadowstorm are kind of like that. They're like very monophase shooting now. Like GW has like not emphasized like putting any melee threats into those armies, like or like any like melee counterpunch at all. Like I mean, you have Crudox Rampages, which are actually not terrible, right? But you have fallback and shoot, right? Well, which is obviously the big mechanic there.
Yeah.
Whereas Guard doesn't have like fallback and shoot, doesn't have like many if like any melee or operations.
We've got
it's kind of strange,
and we've got that tied onto our key data sheets. So like Riptide's fallback and shoot.
Yeah, exactly. Which is obviously massive, right? Like, yeah,
it's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. Yeah. So I think all in all, like it's. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. But like, I'd be looking for different ways to play it. I think that's actually this detachment is going to bring a lot of flavor.
Cool.
It's hard to we'll evaluate whether we think it actually competes or not.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
All right, auxiliary cadre. I have like looked through a bit of this, but not a lot, obviously. Wanted to wait for Lewis to come around, give a little bit of spice. Okay, so like off the top of my bat, Kroot, Vespid, Stingwings.
Do you know what Vespid are?
Bro, that's like an orange wasp, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a thing that you throw in the bin.
Sure. But they got a new kill team recently, right?
Exactly.
Their new kill team model's not bad, right?
Oh, I'm actually quite hot on this unit.
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna call them we're gonna call them Tau Scions.
Tau Scions. Okay, cool. That's
Okay.
I like that analogy.
I'm gonna buzz about them. Okay. So
run me through it. What does the first thing do?
All right, so we're gonna paraphrase this.
Sure.
Every Kroot and Vespid unit in your list gains this aura.
Cool.
So if there's an enemy unit within 9
of your Vespid
of that
unit.
Vespid or Kroot.
Yeah.
So, and we'll come back to that. That's actually a bit awkward for one of those units already. But if there's a Vespid or Kroot unit within 9 of the enemy unit, every Tau model in your list, except those type of units, so excluding Kroot and Vespid and Titanic, they get extra AP against shooting those enemy units within 9. So it's like it's a second way of spotting.
It's like contagion.
Army-wide.
It's like contagion for Death
Exactly.
Guard. So if you put your unit and you make the unit within contagion range, get +1 AP.
Yeah, army-wide,
it's pretty
AP
good.
+1. It's really, really interesting. I think there's a couple things here to note. Because it's within 9, you can't deep strike and then trigger it.
Sure.
So, and I think that's why it makes Vespid the wrong choice for that. Because that is a deep striking uppy downy unit.
Vespid are pretty fast though, right?
They're
quite
fast. If
expensive,
you're doing it on the board, yes.
Yeah.
But
first Kroot, get the scout pregame move. You want to deny OC, then you can trigger it at the same time, right?
Yeah. But they're the unit you would rather be kind of trying to play KG with uppy downy 5 turns.
Yeah, of course. Right.
So,
yeah.
but Kroot are quick. Kroot are really quick because you got. I think all of the Kroot units scout 7.
Sure. Yeah.
There's some which move 12 inches, like Kroot Hounds.
Cool.
So you can imagine it's not difficult to get within 9.
Yeah.
And visible.
And these units like dirt cheap as well, right?
Yeah, they're
dirt cheap.
At the low end 40, upper end 95.
Sure. For like 3 Crutox Rampages.
For 15 wounds,
which is like
yeah. It's okay. So you kind of like you're probably going to be positioning yourself to send the unit forward to score a secondary or to go and charge something else after, and incidentally, that unit is delivering extra AP.
Yeah, nice.
So I guess the next question is, what are you delivering the extra AP to, and what are the best units to target with?
Wait, let's get to the next ability.
Should we wait there?
Localized stealth projectors, Lewis.
Okay.
So everything that's not Kroot or Vespid, get this ability.
And this is an interesting one. It's quite wordy. So a friendly Kroot or Vespid unit, wholly within 6 and visible to this unit, get 18-inch low knock.
There's a couple of caveats there, though, right? They're like now you say it. I was like, initially I was like, that's pretty sick. But wholly within 6 is a little bit tougher to work on, and then also visible too.
I think it's okay.
It's a pretty strong ability.
It's very strong. It's basically every Tau unit becomes Be'lakor.
Yeah.
But the thing is like you read the sentence, it's wholly within 6, every model within 6, but it's not wholly visible. So you could have your Tau unit completely hidden behind a wall, one model from the unit on that side of the wall, but all within 6. So it's not like you're exposing 2 things.
Yeah, nice.
I think it allows you to have forward staging of those units or play the long angles on a board.
Like incidentally, you're just going to get some value out of this at some point too, right?
I mean,
be like,
I think you could, like, I'm going to randomly ingress off a board edge and I'm going to be low not 18 away.
Sure, yeah.
Like, that's not too bad.
So I guess the 2 things kind of want to work together in that sense, right? Like you want to be able to stage your guys safely, get within like 9-inch, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I think the both abilities are reasonably powerful, right? For a detachment rule.
Yes.
The AP one seems really good. Like if you think about Contagion is the main thing that made Death Guard very good, right? Like -1 save is obviously a lot better than -1 AP because like you're putting a threat before up, it doesn't have cover or something. But Tau has a lot of ignore cover in general, right?
Yeah, so it's like +2 to a lot of guns.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Awesome, cool. What do you think? Better than Kauyon? Worse than Kauyon in terms of just the detachment rule?
So if you were to lose all of your Kroot units in this list, it does nothing.
What do you mean by losing?
Like if you kill all of my Kroot units or Vespid units, then I lose an army rule.
Yeah, I'm
always going to have sustained.
Exactly.
So that does worry me a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty hard to top Kauyon in terms of detachment rule, right? Like,
and of course, like if I'm going to turn up to a tournament tomorrow with 3 Riptides, I don't think there's a big deal between going from AP3 to AP4.
Sure.
So you need
to build around something that's like low AP to get a higher AP, right?
Yeah. And maybe like with a higher number of units.
Sure.
It gets more appealing. But on the face of it, it's okay.
Yeah.
You could see it helping punch. Yeah. So
at least it gives you a game plan to work around, right? Like you want to
got a strategy.
Clearly play that. Yeah. Okay. Enhancements. Enhancements for me have been like really hit and miss for this Grotmus kind of reveals. There are some enhancements that are like bonkers, and there are some that are like, okay, like 30 points, I'm probably not playing that. Like the one that lets you shoot indirect, but indirect for Zinch Demons is 10 points. 10 points? What?
It's a bit off the mark.
I think the -1 damage one for Necron's like 15 points. Yeah, kind of crazy. But for 15 points, you can grab Student of Kauyon. Kroot shape model only. Declare battle formation. You select up a Kroot, 3 Kroot Carnivores or Kroot Faststalker units. Models in those units have Deep Strike ability. Fuck, that's pretty good, man. Because I would imagine Deep Strike is one of the things that these things don't have, right?
They do, but I can't remember. This is like a D. Like this is
D?
bad.
Really?
I think this is bad.
But hear me out though. I would have thought Rapid Ingress is like the most way, like a really good way to deliver these things, right?
Yeah, but you could also do it from a board edge, right? Do you think it's a big blow up being able to Deep Strike this unit versus? Because also, like the other unit, this ability affects is Vespid, and you can ingress Vespid because they have Deep Strike.
Fair, and you might want to just like Rapid Ingress Vespid on the turn. You would otherwise want to Rapid Ingress these guys.
And this is also it's a relic restricted to a Kroot Shaper. I don't know what Kroot Shaper does, but that's a
one.
It might be, but that's another 50-point premium on it as well.
Yeah, so it's basically 65 points on maybe something you don't want to play. Fair enough.
Exactly. So I don't know.
Lewis and I think a lot alike. See, I'm like, well, would it be good? It's pretty expensive. Like, something has to be really good for you. Like, my guard list, I play 0 enhancements, of course.
I've honestly, in some of the lists I drafted this, I'm like, 1 character.
Yeah, 1 character.
Because you have to take 1 character.
Yeah, for my ad big list, I was like, I don't really want any of these enhancements. I don't want any characters. I was like, okay, Marshall is the cheapest character because me rerolls. Yep, okay, exactly. I learned that day that I had to take a Warlord, so I was like, okay, I guess I have to take a Warlord.
So I'd say it's nice to have, but even then, like, these Kroot units are probably going to be the ones you want to start on the board to play the mission.
Yeah, deny them, move block them turn 1 and something.
It's okay, but it's not very clear what you're doing with the Deep Strike ability.
Sure.
And as I said, if you Deep Strike 9 away, you can't get the AP. So it's not innately...
Makes sense.
Yeah, the right choice.
Admired Leader, 20 points. Any Tau model except Kroot models. New command phase, you can select 1 Kroot or Vespid unit within 12 inches of the bearer. Undo to start of your next command phase. Improve leadership, characters and models by 1, which I guess means their leadership becomes low. And while such an objective unit is not battle shocked, add 1 +1 OC. Okay, this one's not terrible. +1 OC on Kroot is interesting. Because like primary denial is kind of the game that you want to play, right? I presume.
Yeah, I think this is the first one which I'm considering taking.
Sure. Does this put any interesting Kroot to like OC3?
So it takes so Kroot Carnivores go from 2 to 3. So 10
Remind me what are Kroot Carnivores?
Those are just basic Kroot.
Oh yeah, like stand-up guys. Like, yeah, humanoid guys.
We're gonna call them Kachang Jungle Fighters.
Kachang Jungle Fighters, yeah,
because they scout.
Yeah, thank you.
I played brain. Yeah. So making them OC3, that's great. I think sometimes though 10 models with OC2 is more
enough
than
already.
enough.
But what about the Crude Hounds? Those are
Crude
cheap,
Hounds go from 0 to 1.
That's
That's
nice.
quite a big deal.
Yeah.
Because
you just want to put 2 on, out OC a Chimera Rhino.
exactly.
Pretty
So
nice.
it's the most it's you know,
And
you
they're the
don't mind
fastest unit,
you
right?
don't mind losing it.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Sometimes
But
you want to block a rapid ingress, chuck
Exactly.
them out, OC, yeah.
But I'm already at a point where I'd say, why pay 40 for Crude Hounds when you could spend 25 points and get a unit of Crude Carnivores?
Sure.
So it's debatable because the cost of this relic is almost the difference from upgrading that.
You can only select one Crude or Vespid unit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Vespids can kind of play OC primary denial as well, right?
Yeah,
Like,
putting them to
more or less.
OC 1 to 2 is quite a big deal for a
Yeah.
unit which moves 12.
Yeah.
I actually think it'll probably be quite good on Crude Rampages because then a unit of 3 goes to
Ooh, yeah.
9 OC.
Oh, that's kind of nice. And it's in your command phase, so you can you can buff them in your command phase if they try and out OC you.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
And it's also before, I think that's before you score as well,
Mhm.
so you could flip objectives with
That's
it.
what I'm saying, right?
So I think it's interesting. It's and it can go on any model.
It's a
excluding
lot
Crude.
better than the previous, and you want to play it on a
Exactly.
model like a commander or something like that.
A
whatever.
commander, or there's a little guy who's a lone op, or an ethereal.
Yeah,
I might
ethereal,
consider
sit
an
at the back of your
ethereal in
board,
this
like-
detachment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
All right,
it
20
does
points.
something. Yeah.
Admired leader. Fanatical convert, 10 points. Crude model only. Unis Beerus has Beerus unit gets greater good. What the fuck does greater good do again? Does that
So
make
that's the
him guide?
guiding.
Oh,
So
10-point upgrade.
It's
So it's 10 points your Crude unit can now guide.
Yeah, there's two sides to it. Not only can they guide, they can be guided. So
Four.
you can make Crude ballistic skill 3 and ignore
Dude,
cover.
Crude actually have good guns, I found out.
They shoot.
Yeah.
They shoot.
And they 2 shots, it's like 6-1-1 or something.
You can have a unit of whoa. I think you're confused with breaches.
Oh,
Crutes are like bolt guns.
oh,
2
okay.
shots in rapid fire, 4-0-1.
Okay.
But in this distraction, you can get it to AP1, ignore cover. So you could emulate breaches because you can do 40 shots,
It's not the
reroll hits
worst.
and wounds.
Mate, but Lewis, what if you have a fanatical converted Crude guy, right? And then you also give him deep strike. You know, you can arrive from deep strike and shoot him with your bolt pistols.
You could.
Once you guide it with another unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stealth suit spotting.
So we're not playing this enhancement.
If I had 10 points, I would take it.
Sure. Yeah.
But
If
you would
maybe
also-
if you maybe you play a lot and you realize like you're kind of struggling to guide.
Yeah, and you would want a 20-man unit of crew with that.
Well, the problem is you also have to play it on like a character, right? And these
Yeah.
like cheap OC denial units that you want to like chuck out. Like ideally, your play pattern would be like go OC deny your opponent something with an advance, spot, shoot onto that objective with something else, and then you've got use your 10 points. But then you still have to invest for the character to do that anyway, right?
I think, and also the other thing is the crew model itself doesn't have a mark like keyword. So
Oh,
when
right,
it's
yeah.
spotting, you're not getting ignore cover.
Sure,
So it's
yeah.
not the premier choice.
Sure,
But I guess
yeah.
if you put, there's a lone op crew character, the Crutox
Okay, yeah.
lone spear.
Oh, yeah.
You could imagine like a lone op
Sit back
being
on the
able to
board.
spot is quite nice.
Yeah.
So
Bit of utility.
this one, this is the one I would have rated as maybe the second best,
Sure.
which doesn't sell them all to you. to be
Okay,
honest, But it's okay.
Transponder lock module, 25 points. Tau Empire Walker. Does Riptide come into this?
No.
Okay.
It's
With the deep
no
strike
because of
ability.
the second
Okay.
half.
Right. So basically,
Yeah.
this is like Crisis Suits.
This only
Commanders or
affects
something.
Crisis, I think.
Right. Beerus unit can be set up on your first turn. I hate that ability. During your first movement phase, when you set the Beerus up, it must be set up within 12 inches. This relic is fucking terrible.
It is terrible. I've had some people tell me they're like, "Oh, this is going to be so exciting. You
So
can deep
bad.
strike turn 1 with
Why would
a
you ever want
400-point unit
yeah.
of fusion
And
and,
then you're-
kill a rhino."
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Cool."
Turn 1 deep striking used to be good when you could like alpha your opponent with massive damage output units like Devastators from a drop pod, right? You could hit
Yeah.
like something crucial, but turn 1 deep strike is seldom very good at the moment. You can also get that in Guard with Silence, and it's just like, well, why would you ever use a 190-point unit to kill a rhino on turn?
I would also say it's going to be a unit which isn't going to be guided.
Right, exactly.
Because
right.
if you could be guided, the rest of your army could see that
Yeah.
unit and it would be dead.
And you can't fire and fade.
Yeah, you can't do
bad.
shit.
Okay. So, like, enhancement wise, bit of a miss.
I would say there's an argument.
The
to take any
10-point
of
guide
them.
one is maybe the best one.
Yeah, or the extra OC if you're taking the right units to support
Sure.
it.
If you're building your entire list,
Yeah.
kind of like around
It
there.
will be a playstyle choice.
Yeah. Nice. All right. All these strats, basically 1 CP, so good start there. Tau has the ethereal where you can get more CP every turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Having read this once already, I feel like this is a very CP hungry detachment.
Okay.
So
That's
you
kind
may
of
want
good.
to take an ethereal.
Yeah, I like that. That means all the strats are good, hopefully. Shooting a fight phase, Crude or Vespid.
Or, sorry, the units are bad.
Yeah, and they need to become better
Yeah,
with strats.
Your choice.
But hey, have you thought maybe this would be like a good... There might be a variation here where like you constantly redrawing cards, trying to score high, deny your opponent primary, like, that type of list maybe?
Yeah, and just
Interesting.
not kill anything.
Yeah, something like that. Or just fake your like deterrence a little bit.
Yeah.
Move block your opponent. Shooting a fight phase, Crude or Vespid. That is not being selected to shoot. Increase the AP by 1. +1 AP for Crude and Vespid.
I think this is a very good strat.
Good on Vespid.
So less so for Vespid, but Crew especially, because it's shooting or fight phase.
Oh, Crudox Rampage is good.
Crudox Rampage got AP2.
Ooh,
for 1 CP.
That's pretty good, actually.
That's really, really good.
Guys, if you don't know the Crudox Rampager datasheet, it's actually quite good.
They're these gorillas.
Yeah, they're a pretty sweet model. I quite like them.
And they do impact hits, and then they hit you with a bunch of damage to attacks.
They're not even that slow.
and they've got lances as well. Yeah,
man.
They're quite cool.
Okay,
and they're cheap as fuck.
So some experimental modifications.
Yeah. I think shooting with this is secondary. Okay. So this is where maybe it comes back to or when we get to the second strat, I'll mention the Vespid. Sure. But I think the AP buff is nice to have. You can imagine that unit of 20 Crew getting extra AP and also having ignore cover, and then they start to actually, hurt you. I'm not tickling you.
Sure.
Guns.
Yeah.
But it's the melee buff here, which I think is a big
like
deal.
622 or something.
They're 522.
522.
So going to 532 is okay.
Yeah, and you can maybe go to 542 effectively.
So they can't be affected by the army.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's the other way around.
Oh, that's why they did the experimental modification, so that it fixes things.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Crew. Not bad. Oh, multi-sensory scanning. Shooting a fight phase. Tell unit from your army has not been selected to shoot a fight. So another kind of like shooting a fight phase, 1 CP, 1. Each time you make an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. And if it's Crew or Vespid, reroll a full rerolls to wound. Okay.
It's good.
To be fair, so you can basically get +1 AP and then full rerolls to wound.
For 2 CP.
For 2 CP. On Crudox
Rampage. That unit of 3 Rampages is going to punch up.
How many attacks does Crudox Rampage have? Is it like 4?
4 per model.
Yeah.
So I think it's 12 damage 2 attacks and then 9 damage 1. Hitting on 3s.
Oh yeah, and 4 rerolls.
Yeah. And do you remember the Lone Spear I mentioned?
Yeah.
He gives reroll hits.
Oof.
So you can be reroll hits and wounds.
Crudox Rampages.
Yeah.
Is the max size 3? I think it is.
Yeah.
Right?
You can go to 6.
Oh, 18.
So you can ingress 6 and just chuck them at someone. But I think this is the strat which makes units of 10 Vespid interesting.
Bro, is there advance and charge in this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
So this strat lets you take 20 shots, strength 5, AP2, damage 2, rerolling wounds in an uppy downy unit.
Yeah, with the Vespids, right?
Yeah. I think that's quite cool.
Yeah, nice.
But this is also not locked to Crew Vespid. So say for example you're not guided, you're going to split fire a big model.
Okay.
You have a way now to give it reroll wounds of 1, reroll hits of 1. So you don't actually
pretty
need
nice with like Riptide in some cases, right?
Or just go big, just go Tower.
Yeah, okay.
or Tiger Shark or
fair.
Storm Surge. But a Riptide is very happy to have reroll 1s.
Yeah, because oftentimes it's like if it's killing like Marines or something like that, it's probably like
you're winning on 2s,
Div and stuff like that.
So it's a nice.
So it's just like it's obviously value.
It's a consistency.
Right?
Yeah,
nice.
It's great.
Nice. What about pheromone waypoints? All right, movement phase, Crew or Vespid unit. So kind of locked into that. I guess this is kind of like half of this is like Crew Vespid, the other half is like normal Tal stuff, right? Yeah. It's kind of nice synergistic way. I kind of like how they built that. Till the end of the phase, when you advance, auto advance 6. 1 CP, auto advance 6.
It's great.
Crew or Vespid. Really good for OC denial, I would have thought.
Yes. The unit moves 7 base. So it nearly doubles the move.
Yeah, but the, whatchamacallit, the Hounds move like 12 base.
So you go 18.
So auto 18, move block your opponent, +1 OC. It's pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
And excuse me, Lewis and I are drinking some Belgian beer. Crew Rampages are not mounted, right? They're beasts.
I'll double check. I think they're mounted.
Ooh,
so
the crux of India.
They're going to struggle. They're going to struggle.
Okay,
but they'll they'll take anything they can get.
Sure, yeah. That probably means that just a normal Crew guy is faster at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, but you would use it. You can't put them in transport, so it's not like you're getting extra move from disembarking. So
sure.
You would take it. They are mounted.
Mounted. So, sons of a bitch. Wait, is a Rampager mounted as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Rampage is mounted.
That's fair. Okay. Auto advance 6.
Beasts.
What detachment do you not want auto advance 6 on?
You take it in every detachment.
Yeah. It means that Vespid's like I think
they've
as you described,
weapons.
Vespids are a unit where you like need to consistently use them time and time again, right?
Yeah.
Like to get value of them. How much? Because they die like instantly as soon as they stay around.
Yeah, right? I think that's also something which is going to become clear with this attachment. Crew and Vespid made a paper. They're all 6 up.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sure. So, and Vespid are how many points for 10?
130 for 10, 65 for 5.
Pretty reasonable.
So they're fairly costed.
Cool. Nice. Alien expertise. Movement phase Tau unit, so anything. You can advance and shoot. If it's a Crew Vespid unit, you can advance and shoot. Okay. All right, mate. Crudox Rampage's stocks are going up, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah. But also advance and shoot on any Tau unit is
so basically,
really nice.
Like, here's what you do, right? You pay 1 CP to auto advance 6. You pay 1 CP to advance and charge. Then you pay 1 CP for +1 AP. Then you pay 1 CP for real.
You realise now you want to spend 4 CP turn 1. Yeah.
The banger.
Yeah.
So good. Hopefully you go second, so you can like advance and charge with
You
these
do
three
half
strats.
of your things. Yeah. But that's also a really great strat. Like you would play that in any tower detachment.
So basically, just give advance and shoot, and like if you're a Kroot or Vespid, you can advance and charge. But realistically, you just want to be able to advance and shoot. Like it means like your threat ranges for things are significantly larger, right? Like your opponent all of a sudden is like, well, like if you move 10, it's like, well, you move 10, mate. Like whereas like we would want to play Monka previously would be because like, well, you can advance and shoot, so your opponent really has to respect that, right? So actually, this is like a big part of like Monka rule right here, right? It's like auto 6, advance and shoot, right?
Yeah, and it really makes the like units like broadsides get a lot better with advance and shoot as well.
Oh yeah, broadside's nice here.
The slower things.
Okay, you can't auto advance the broadsides,
No,
I guess, right?
no.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty nice, though. Your opponent has to respect it, right? So then, when they have to respect it in one place, they kind of have to respect it in every place, right?
So you can probably start imagining now that you're going to have this like quite a static, slow-moving gun line at the back and a lot of OC at the front.
Yeah,
Kroot.
And Kroot are bloody cheap, right? Like you
65
get a lot.
for 10 models.
Yeah, you get a lot of these things, right?
They're not. Sadly, they're not battle line, so you can only have 3 units.
Okay, sure.
So
they don't get battle line in this detachment.
no, they do not.
Okay, interlocking maneuvers. 1 CP. Okay, into the fight phase that was eligible to fight, so you had to be in combat. If your unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy models, you can make a movement phase of up to 6. Otherwise, you can make a fallback. It cannot embark on a transport. So your unit that is not within engagement range. Oh, okay. So you can still use it even if you're within engagement range.
Yes.
Okay, so 1 CP you can fall back, or 1 CP you can move normal move up to 6.
Yeah.
And normal move you could obviously embark on a transport, which would be.
You can fall back and embark as well.
So why would they distinguish between the two?
Because I think this is very subtle, but it's I would just say like if you're in engagement range, if you're not in engagement range, you just move 6 inches. If you're falling back, you go your move characteristic.
Oh,
the final sentence is if it's the same turn that you've disembarked, you can't embark.
Yes.
So you can't like get breaches out, charge, move 6, then go into the transport.
So actually, a lot of the times it's better to make the fallback move because you get your full movement characteristic.
Yeah, and you could go with like model crisis
1
going
CP
12.
fallback and shoot. Even better than fallback and shoot because you fall back.
It's fire and fading in either turns.
Yeah,
because you can do this in your opponent's turn. I think that's the subtle thing which I like about this. You're not your things which can't fall back and shoot can't be tagged.
Yeah,
because you do it in your opponent's turn.
Yeah,
you fall back and you fall forwards and then you get a new angle and shoot them.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems quite janky.
The best plays are going to be when like your opponent overextends something into you. You like move way around the corner to shoot something else. Reactive like charge back into it.
Yeah,
and then like you like fall back way back behind, so you get like a charge distance plus your fallback move characteristic.
Or you
pretty good on suits.
Yeah, or you like move crisis 10, 12 inches, make a charge.
Yeah,
fall back over them. You're now on their home deployment zone.
Yep. Oh yeah, with the OC.
And especially if you've got things like rampages, which can hit quite hard. You can
just out OC someone.
Yeah, and you just have like one model of that unit on the corner.
Yeah, it's end of the fight phase, so it's not even like end of your opponent's fight phase. Damn, that is a good strat.
For 1 CP.
Yeah, that is really strong.
And
even just 1 CP fallback and shoot's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Sick. Man, that is really good. Guided fire. Shooting phase, 1 tower unit from your army, not being selected to shoot. You can't pick Kroot or Vespids. Into the phase, add 1 to the shrink characteristic of ranged weapons, equipped by unit. If your unit is wholly within 9 inches of 1 or more Kroot, that's pretty easy to do. Add 2 to the shrink characteristics. Okay, low key, I think this is pretty good. Because this might be one of the better ones, I think. Because realistically speaking, Tau have always struggled with like that strength 8 cap, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like all of a sudden your Riptide is just like your Riptide is like, oh, wounding your Rhino on 5s, right? You're like, okay, +2 strength. Now I'm wounding you on 3s. +2 to wound for 1 CP. Pretty sick.
Big deal. I think
it's good on like almost everything you can think of, right? Like the crisis suits it's good on.
I feel like you have to get lucky usually to kill a vehicle with a Riptide.
Yeah.
And now you don't.
Now it's just like, well, I'm like flat 4 dude, and I'm just gonna pump you.
And I think it would be interesting to math out how this strat compares to the sustained. Like, is the extra dice actually better than?
It's a really good point.
+2 to wound.
+2 to wound is like bonkers strong, obviously.
Yeah.
Wow. Guided fire. Pretty sweet.
Good. And that you can use on any data sheet in the book. So,
except the Kroot or
Vespid. You can use it on the big stuff as well.
Yeah, that's cool. The big stuff, I guess if you use it on like a big tower weapon, like platform, then you're getting a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, because obviously this strat is the more guns you have, the more value you get out of it.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It's quite spicy. Yeah,
exactly. Nice. What's your favorite? Honestly, all of them.
They're all very, very good.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is the interlocking maneuvers.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. I mean, just straight up 1 CP fallback and shoot is obviously great, but it means that you can also like fall back onto your objectives, help secure your primary, fall back onto their objectives. Like They have to be worried about if they charge you, you might be able to move again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
it seems
flexible.
really nice.
Like,
But
I don't want to say it's Phantasm, but like, it's obviously Phantasm like means they can't shoot you, but like, damn, it's pretty good. Like, obviously, Renegade Raid is like one of the best strats there is like the fallback after you charge.
it's not
the 5
dissimilar.
right?
It's not dissimilar.
Very similar, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, in some ways, it's even better because you can move your full unit characteristic.
Yeah, and a lot of things in the Talbot fly as well, so you don't really have to take a fallback test.
Right, exactly, right? You
Yeah.
just fly over them. What about those suits that like you can bomb people with? Can you use that with this? It's like you move over someone, bomb them, like the grenade package.
Oh, that's a relic.
It's a relic.
Retaliation.
Oh, okay,
cadre.
sure. Sorry.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty sweet.
No, that would have been cool as well.
Nice, man.
But all in all, like the strats are really, really good.
Nice. So, okay, now the big question, of course. Does this move the needle, and would you potentially play this over Carrion?
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah?
I'm damn well gonna try it.
So what's the big, like, what are you thinking, like,
I think you have to, like, I think you would still struggle with pressure if you didn't take, like, a back line of, like, hammerheads
sure,
and riptides. But I think what I like about this is it actively encourages you to take rampages and crew units, which can hit.
Yeah.
And then you've got something which can deal with that staging, let's say.
Nice.
And you've got the speed to catch up with it.
Sure.
You probably don't bother taking breaches, you would take crew instead, and you've got more OC denial.
Nice.
And I think that kind of just lays out the list in itself. So
Cool.
you've got backline guns and
a
you've
lot
got
of forward
fast
OC play.
Yeah.
And you can form and shoot.
And
it's pretty straightforward game plan.
Pretty straightforward.
Tried and tested.
I think the list will be better into gunline mirror matches because all of your
you can play
infantry, and all of your infantry is lone operative 18.
Yeah, that's pretty nice, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think people would.
And the +2 to strength is pretty good in the shootout.
Yeah,
right.
I think it turns all of your elite guns into anti-tank guns.
All of a sudden, Ion Hammerhead is like a lot better with +2 to strength.
Strength 10.
Yeah, like a lot.
It's very,
better,
very
right?
good. And it gets, and I think it gets better at shooting vehicles as well. I think it gets +1 to hit or something.
Right, exactly.
So it's quite tasty.
Yeah.
I think it's also like, because like, and also like the 18-inch lone op, I think is really good because you can imagine it's not people can get within 18, but to get within 18, you have to be in the open.
Sure,
so you are killing them back.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine. If you're doing that to kill a 65-point unit, I'm okay with that.
And honestly, Crudox Rampages, potentially OC3, 9 OC, it's gonna be pretty hard to like even knock more than one down. And then like you could even like lone op backwards like into 18 once you take casualties to make it so it's harder to get like 2 shooting activations into one unit, right? Nice, pretty sick. It's a completely different way of playing Tower, really, right? It's a
really
blend.
unusual.
It's a blend between like a couple of different detachments.
It's one of the more unique ones they've released as well.
You've kind of got Recruit there. You've got Montcar in there as well, and then like a lot of new stuff there as well that kind of directly targets what Tower's kind of struggled with, which is like either fallback and shoot, OC control, or like plus strength. Like typically, you're just like, oh, I hope I roll some 5s, right? Like your opponent's got Lehman Russ. You're like, well, my 5's a win, mate.
Yeah, only works sometimes. So
there we go. Awesome.
Yeah.
We are going to leave it there, guys. And in the member section of the video, Lewis and I are going to do a quick time. We're going to build some lists, maybe put some stuff on TTS, and do a little bit of UK TC stuff, and see what it looks like on the table. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Got him. There we go. And rolling the outro. Not that Lewis knows that.
Thank you for listening to the 40k Fireside. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, drop us a comment, check out the YouTube members area, and we look forward to seeing you again next time by the Fireside.